Right, afternoon. Alvie Dalraddy Estates is 3 miles south of Aviemore, and we've diversified into tourism. I've been asked to talk from my experience where I consider there is the potential for growth in tourism. For anyone who knows the Highlands, you'll be aware the Highlands is not the most productive place to grow food. So on Alvie Dalraddy Estates, we have diversified. We have 5,400 hectares ranging from ploughlable farmland to high moorland. Farming is still an important part of our business. However, 15% of the property is under woodland. The trees have been primarily grown for timber production, although they are also valuable for livestock shelter and recreation. However, nearly 80% of the land is hill and open moorland, what is often referred to as Mamba country, more and more a bugger all. It's primarily used for grouse shooting and deer stalking. The estate also has 26 houses, 4 farmsteadings, horticulture producing strawberries and raspberries, a granite quarry producing aggregate building and diking stone, a gravel quarry producing sand, gravel and recycled material, schist workings producing diking stone, a fish hatchery producing organic brown trout, a sawmill, a holiday park producing tourist accommodation, wood chip production for biomass boilers, a shooting lodge providing a catered accommodation and functions, a forestry management and contracting service, 4 telecommunication masts, and various forms of visitor activities. Tourism currently provides the estate's main income. We now provide more visitor beds than sheep, so I'm officially a mixed farmer. We're the only estate locally who sells both fish and chips. Our tourist accommodation includes upmarket accommodation for the toffs, where we endeavour to make a lot of money out of a few people, downmarket accommodation for the bobble hats, where we make less money out of a lot of people, and everything in between for the middle classes. To be sustainable, it is important to have a diversified portfolio. When the economy is buoyant and customers are spending, we can make money from catered and self-catering accommodation, touring caravan and tent pitches. They pay on the day. When the economy is in recession, we need to rely on longer-term commitments, such as static caravans and chalets. Once they buy their static caravan or chalet on our site, they're hopefully locked in for between 1 and 20 years. In an area where agricultural production is poor, farming tourists is an attractive option. Dalraddy Holiday Park is located on what used to be open moorland. The topsoil is thin, the pH low, and grass production is relatively poor. On this ground, we could only achieve 5 sheep per acre, and we still have to supplementary feed them over winter. But we can get 8 chalets per acre, and they pay for the food they eat. The owners don't eat the grass, although I understand some of them smoke it. Farming tourists has the advantage that unlike cattle and sheep, we don't pay to feed them. They pay us. We sell our beef, lamb, venison, and strawberries in our holiday park shop, and tourists are willing to pay more for local food, and food miles is almost nil. Another advantage of tourists is when they die. Although our soil is short of organic matter, when one of our sheep dies, we are not allowed to bury it. We're no longer allowed to bury a cow, horse, sheep, or even a hen. We must pay for their bodies to be taken away to the knackery, where they are rendered down with fossil fuels. But we can bury caravan owners, and we don't need a license. The only stipulation is we're not allowed to cull them, and we cannot bury them close to a watercourse. We also have to bury them too deep to fertilize next year's silage crop. So we need to invest in trees with large taproots. So we're now looking at green burial sites. Of course, we can produce native pine coffins in our sawmill and gravestones from our quarry. Now, this is a business that can be buoyant and grow even in a recession. Of course, our marketing strategy may have to be adjusted. Repeat customers are rare, even if our product is good and the customer experience is excellent. However, on the other hand, we can expect few customer complaints. But farming tourists also has disadvantages. We can supplement the organic matter in our soils by spreading cow and sheep manure on our fields. But when I mentioned to the council that I intended spreading the contents of my holiday park septic tanks on my fields because the price of nitrogen fertilizer had become unaffordable, they said no. However, they did say they would allow me to install an anaerobic digester. It would appear that I can throw the contents of my septic tanks plus other organic matter into a container where air is excluded and take methane off the tops. I can then sell this gas back to my caravan owners instead of butane or propane for cooking. If I sell them food from the estate at one end and sell them back gas generated from their own waste at the other, I will have exploited my tourists at both ends. Even better, the byproduct is nitrogen-rich organic fertilizer I can put on my fields. Now, this is sustainable tourism with potential for growth. But in order to continue growing this activity, we require one vital ingredient, and that's tourists. How do we continue to attract them even in a recession? To attract tourists, we need good access. Before the railway, we had no tourists. Ease of access is important. The next important ingredient is recreational opportunities. Very few tourists just come for a pretty landscape. They come to do, see, or learn something. If they want to see a pretty view, they can go to the pictures. So we have invested in grouse shooting, deer stalking, fishing, downhill skiing, gliding, horse riding, mountain biking, orienteering, clay pigeon shooting, archery, four-wheel drive training, quad biking, falconry, challenge games, corporate entertainment, paintball games, gorge walking, motorbike trials, a zip wire course, wildlife photography, survival courses, educational open days, and estate tours. It is important that we attract visitors not just in summer when the weather is good, but also at other times of year when the weather may be more challenging. Another thing we have learned is not to do everything ourselves. Working with other businesses spreads the risk and utilizes the expertise, investment, and enthusiasm of others. On Alvie, many visitor activities are run by businesses who pay a % of gross takings for events on the estate. Some businesses are tenants and pay the estate a rent. Others we pay for their services as contractors. For some events and activities, we don't charge. Where possible, we work as a team. We are better working together. On Dalraddy Holiday Park, we don't actually own the accommodation. We only own the land and the infrastructure. The chalets, cabins, caravans, and the investment are the investment of our customers. We have persuaded others to invest in our business, other than the banks. So what about the future? Well, demographics are in our favor. There is predicted to be a huge rise in pensioners over the next 2 decades in the Highlands. Pensioners are the growth market of the immediate future. Many pensioners have disposable income. They have money to spend. Changes in legislation means they've now got cash. They can cash in their pensions. No more annuities. So we're looking now at farming pensioners. That, of course, assumes they will retire before they die. If we can have a chalet park of pensioners with a shop selling estate produce at one end, our green burial site at the other, and an anaerobic digester and a hydro scheme to provide their energy requirements, we could have a good, sustainable, and growing business. If our estate and holiday park is self-sufficient in food and renewable energy, our estate economy is diversified, and our target market of customers is growing, the future looks bright. Thank you very much.